Well, there's a lot of tests out there in the sports world, and boy, oh boy, the Cavs are passing theirs. Are the Browns passing theirs? I'm not so sure, but we'll get into all of that and more here tonight on this edition of The Voice of the Land, right here on the Big Play Network, partnered with LPV Productions, and of course, sponsored by our friends over at Greeny Sports Cards. Reach out to them at greenysportscards.com. We have our rookie card for Darius Garland. That is still up. You can still enter to try to win the Darius Garland rookie card. Go over to VTL_pod. We just retweeted it today. It's tagged in our promo tweet for tonight because, yes, we will have Spencer Davies of Cavs on SI talking Cavs with us coming up at 8:15, so just about 15 minutes away. We will talk to Spencer Davies. So on that tweet, we have our Greeny Sports Cards giveaway, and what better than the Darius Garland rookie card? I know he's out right now, but look, if you got a hip contusion, I'd rather play it more cautiously than anything else. Get him right, so that's because he did not look right in that game where he did go down, and then the push out of the air was a little unnecessary, but he didn't.
Man,
He
got
didn't
beat
look
up
right.
that game.
What?
He got all kinds of beat up
I,
that game.
dude, I don't.
Can for the love of God, can people please stop hitting Darius Garland in the face?
His face is a magnet, dude. I don't understand it.
I feel like I have what he has. Like every time I play basketball, people hit me in the face. The ball hits me in the face. We play softball. What happens? The ball ends up hitting me in the head.
He kind of landed on his face. I mean, but he only came out with a hip contusion. So I think like that's the best news coming out of that one. So, yes, Cavs, Darius Garland, rookie card, enter at VTL_pod on Twitter.
I mean, after they win the championship this year, it's going to be worth a lot more.
I like that you're putting it out in the atmosphere. I'm a super.
Putting it out there.
I know. You know me. I'm a superstitious person, and I don't like to talk about it either. So, actually, I talk about it a lot.
I know, and nothing you say will change anything. Will happen, but hey,
your ways. But you bring up championship aspirations, and more people are starting to take notice of that nationally. Stephen A. Smith has been. He has definitely been on.
That worries me. I don't like when he likes our team that lot.
Well, and he's not picking him to beat, but like everybody is still saying Boston in the East, like they're the team you have to beat. And that coming through with this title we have today, I mean, the Cavs have passed their last few tests, especially coming out of the All-Star break. It's not easy to go to a team that had won 6 or 7 straight, 6 of their last 7 against. I know Brooklyn's record wasn't very good, but when a team is rolling like that, you need to come out and take advantage of them from the start. And both teams weren't shooting the ball very well in that one. And you could overlook Brooklyn because you're facing the Knicks the next night. So Brooklyn, you get that win on the road, you come home, and you demolish the Knicks.
Do you think they were trying to make a statement with the Knicks?
Think
they tried to make a statement with the Magic?
I mean, probably. Absolutely. And I think that they wanted to show that they're a different team because everybody brings up the playoff series last year. But I think yesterday's game, Jay, is a microcosm of why when you go into your next season, while you want to build on what you've done and you want some of the good stuff you want to take into future years, especially if you're building a championship caliber team, each year is different. Each team is going to be different. Things are going to fall different ways than they had the previous year. So look, you can bring up the fact that the Magic took them to 7 games last year. That Magic team is ravaged. I mean, ravaged by injuries right now.
Yeah, but we didn't have our starting guard and Darius Garland. Like, it is what it is. The Magic are still got 2 of their better players, Bancario and what is the one brother's name? It is totally drawing
Wagner.
Wagner. I can't stand him.
Mo and Franz.
Yeah, Mo and Franz Wagner. But yeah, they're great players, dude. They just annoy the living crap out of me. But that team is huge, man. They are really big. We let them know, man. We are here to let you guys know we are the contenders. You're going to have to go through us. Of course, we're going to have to beat Boston to get to where we want to go, and that is oddly, it's like if we could beat Boston, dude, I think it's almost easy. That's like the championship game to me, the real one. And a lot of times that happens. Like the 2 best teams are actually in the same conference. But
I mean, you could say that Ohio State played 3 national championship games in their run. I mean, Tennessee was that I wouldn't call them a warm up because it feels like disrespectful to how good Tennessee was this year. That's how good Ohio
we
State
made it look
was
like
in
it
that
was
game.
a warm up, though.
We absolutely made it look like it was a warm up, but you go into the number 1 seed that was undefeated, Oregon, in the Rose Bowl, where you expect more Oregon fans to be. Ohio State fans, we know they travel well to the Rose Bowl.
Who beat you earlier in the season?
You take care of them, and then everybody was saying, well, that could be the national championship game. Then other people were saying, well, Ohio State's now facing Texas. That's probably the national championship. Whoever wins this is going to win the national championship game. Then you face Notre Dame, who was feeling pretty good going into that one in the actually designated national championship game, and you make that run through. So you're right. Sometimes the best 2 teams match up before the championship, but that's just how it goes. The East is just that tough at the top. It is front loaded for sure.
And out of the West, they're obviously going to have OKC, but we got to see what they're going to actually do in the playoffs. They're still young. They were the number 1 seed last year, and they lost in the very first round, so they got stuff to prove over there. The Warriors look tough now. That they surprised me with Jimmy Butler. He looks like he's revigorated and motivated as ever, and he's got them rolling again. So it's going to be an awesome stretch run, and no better person to talk to than our next guest, I guess, Kevin.
Yes, already here with us tonight. That is one Spencer Davies joining us. Cavs on SI, covers the Cavaliers, does an excellent job in following his work for a while, and does, of course, the post-game shows. Sometimes it's, I feel bad because you got to stay after these games, Spencer, to do these post games, and you're in a dark arena trying to get done and get home. Spencer, appreciate you taking some time tonight to join us.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me on. And, it's not so bad. The only thing that sucks is when the event crew's doing all their work and you have to find a place to do the stand-ups. But, we're getting creative over at Cavs on SI.
Well, you definitely had a creative tweet last night that caught the eye of the crew over at TNT. Their Tuesday night crew, not Kenny and Chuck, but Shaq was still there, and Lefko and Candace Parker, Vince Carter. The sleek freak is how you termed Evan Mobley last night. They really like that one. Where'd you come up with that one? Have you had that in the bag for a little while?
I really just kind of thought about it when the game was happening. And the point of the whole thing was, and I said this on our show last night, was when you watch Evan Mobley running full court after getting a rebound and he's making these dribble moves and he's attacking going left and getting his body into his defender and getting to the rim, it just reminds me of Giannis. So, I just kind of wanted to draw that comparison a little bit because he's just really become not only patient, but he's also using his strength. So having those 2 things combined and being polished while still being aggressive and forceful, I think that's a really, really unique skill set to have. And he's just growing right in front of our eyes. And I'm seeing shades of Giannis in that perspective.
I said the same thing when trying to make the comparison. People are like, oh, Evan Mobley's not living up to this hype, what he is. I'm like, dude, go look at Giannis's career. He did not come out the first, second, third year, insanely good. He just slowly got better and better and better and kept working at it both him and Evan Mobley do. And look where he's at. And, dude, I don't think he's as physical right now as Giannis is, strength-wise. He put on some muscle over the years, but his shot looks a lot better than Giannis's already.
It does. And I think it's just the confidence that they're instilling in him to take those shots. I mean, the game on Sunday against Memphis, did you know that he took 8 threes? He only made 1, but the fact that he even went out there and attempted those got Kenny Atkinson's attention. And that's just opening up a whole realm of possibilities for this offense. Again, that is continuing to find different wrinkles and different tendencies and the way that guys are cutting, but also that teams have to make decisions when they close out. They have to figure out, they got to play in between an open shooter over in the corner and an open shooter on the wing. It's just so complex that the ways that the Cavs can attack you in multiple facets. And it's just really been enjoyable to watch because they're just kind of picking teams apart in a way. And it's a pick your poison really for anyone who's on the floor. I don't think any combination of 5 players this year has ever had trouble playing with each other. And I think that's a really good sign going forward because you can't be one dimensional when you're trying to achieve a championship, and the Cavs are the furthest thing from it.
With DeAndre Hunter coming into the mix too, you talk about these shooters around the outside. I mean, DeAndre Hunter comes in, you lose two guys in George Niang and Karis LeVert, who Karis was playing pretty well. In your eyes, why has it felt so seamless bringing DeAndre Hunter in, and this offense, it doesn't feel like there's been any snags with a guy trying to learn where guys need the ball, want the ball, or where he needs to be on the floor?
I think it's because there's not really set plays. And he kind of pointed that out in the locker room a couple of games ago that, there's not really sets to know. It's more or less the tendencies and the principles of the offense that they're going with. And I think that he honestly just has some more freedom. I didn't expect DeAndre Hunter to come out in the first 5 games to be someone who's dribble pull-up threes guy. I thought that maybe he'd be out on the outside waiting to spot up, but no, like he's bringing the ball up. He is legitimately taking shots, contested shots, because his jumper is so hard to really block or to contest. And it's just at its apex really hard because he has that 7'3" wingspan, even though he's only 6'8". Like that is a really tough weapon for teams to try and defend. But I think it's also just the culture of the team, the selflessness of the team that's really helped him kind of adapt quickly. And he had relationships with guys coming in, obviously Ty Jerome at Virginia, Cavs to Cavs. We all know that story, but Evan Mobley even talked about how they share their same representation. So they've hooped together in summers before. So that probably helps. I think that being in the same draft class as Darius Garland, they're close. So there wasn't like so much unfamiliarity coming in. And it's just it's a team that really fosters this togetherness. And when you play that kind of basketball and you're allowed the freedom, you're not put into a box, I think that really helps. And DeAndre is fit in like a glove, and it's crazy how quickly it's worked.
It's like we took 2 quarters and made $1 out of it. Like, I can't believe how seamlessly it's worked out for him. And it seems like Kenny Atkinson definitely likes to play him along with Ty Jerome because they're familiarity with each other. Lately, I got to give it to the man, dude. Kobe Altman. Holy crap. What has this dude done? Like, not many teams, when a superstar of LeBron James's caliber leaves their team, do they bounce back like they have, and let alone just, okay, we need a tall wing that could shoot a 3, and we still got to get under salary cap, and he pulled it off. Like, for nothing, it felt like George Niang and the other guy, LeVert, were great players in their way, but I don't think either one of them are the consistent player that DeAndre Hunter is.
Well, I think it's this. They had an abundance of those types of players that it was just kind of hard to know what the rotation was going to shake out like in the playoffs. So like you have Karis LeVert, who was necessary last year in the years before that because Ty Jerome wasn't around. You had, really the guy who was getting downhill, playmaking, being a microwave scorer. Karis was really good here. I thought that he was having a really good season too. And he was having his most efficient year as an NBA player under Kenny in his second go around. And obviously they had familiarity in Brooklyn. So I just think that I don't like using the word expendable because I don't like to describe it that way. But I mean, Kobe Altman even said like maybe, some of these guys just didn't fit the same mold of what we needed because we're a wing heavy team or a wing needy team. And, you go out and you get DeAndre Hunter for that. They were very happy with the cost. And, George, I thought that he actually gave his all this year and he was doing a really solid job. And I know that, the Cavs Twitter community wasn't the biggest fan of George, but he really did put in a lot of work over the offseason, get into good shape. He was really defending pretty solid the first couple months and was really making his shots too. So, but at the same time, like when you have an opportunity to add someone like DeAndre Hunter, who was scoring 19 points a game and has so many abilities without needing the ball in his hands, and somebody who can defend those bigger type of players. We saw it last night, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner. You think about the Jason Tatums of the world. Those are the things that you have to focus on when you get into April and May. Even when you look at New York, they go out and completely change their identity, and they have Mikal Bridges out there on the wing now, and they have the OG Anunobys of the world. Like, those are bigger guys and more athletic guys. So you have to find a counter for that. And that's what they did. They went out and got DeAndre Hunter. And as we were just talking about it, it's worked almost immediately.
And this is where, Koby Altman comes into play is having that depth. I know you said you didn't want to use expendable. It's kind of like the unfortunate word that best describes where they were at. It was an abundance of talent, an abundance of depth on this team where what you needed to get, you had enough pieces to not lose the chemistry, the camaraderie on this team, the ball movement, all of those types of things you've already seen Kenny Atkinson bring in. And Koby, just you have to make that move. You can get a 19 points a game, 40% from three type of guy that he's going to get the ball and he's going to be able to do things that you want him to do. Spencer Davies is our guest here on Voice of the Land. And Spencer, you mentioned the name several times. We'd be remiss if we don't talk about Ty Jerome. We've been talking about Ty Jerome here. I know you mentioned like how are people just now catching on to Ty Jerome. He's been doing this all year. We know that's been happening. It's been happening. But to those that are just catching on to Ty Jerome, what has made him so special for this team this year?
Just everyone's late to the party, aren't they?
Hey, we're not. We're not.
It's just funny because I still remember being in Kenny Atkinson's press conference and them bringing up Ty Jerome and how he was the quote unquote MVP of September. Well, we were probably looking at that in jest at the time, and every word rang true. It was just the way that he started this summer before the camp started. So there was mini camp before training camp and the guys all got together. He was obviously coming off of that really weird ankle injury that just never seemed to heal last year. And it just proves that having a big guard like that who can do so many things, it's the playmaking, it's the shooting, amazing confidence, just pulling up from 25 plus feet in transition. He's obviously got the touch on the floater that I have no idea when you watch it, how some of these are going down, but he's practicing the shot and they are all going in, whether it's off the glass, whether it's just a teardrop. And also the threat of that floater, you're now seeing the defenders try and crash in on it. And he's just either spraying out to teammates or he's finding the big underneath or whatever cutter he has to find. And then defensively, I think he's been really good just at that little poke steal from behind. If you watch the games, he is so cerebral in knowing how to do that without fouling. And I think that that's a big piece of this too, because he ups the pace. He kind of gets the gears going a little bit. And he's been sixth man of the year, obviously a candidate for that. And you put that together with DeAndre Hunter, as we were just talking about, and you have two legitimate, starting caliber players coming off the bench. And you could say that, for a few guys coming off the bench too.
They're both competing for sixth man of the year. I think they're leading candidates, and they're both on our
which
teams
is insane. That's just the depth of this team. You could go down the list on this roster and point out every way someone has contributed to winning. And I think that that's really, really rare. And the other thing too is I think the thing I admire the most about this team is that a lot of guys know that they're not going to be playing as much. And yet they're still willing to sacrifice that because it's for the betterment of the team. And they know what the end goal is. And they're going to be ready when their number's called. Craig Porter Jr. has been an unsung hero this year of when he's had his numbers called. He could easily be a rotational player in the NBA. But every time he gets into a game, whether it's because of an injury or whether because Kenny just feels like he needs to get in there and spell DG or Don, he is coming in there and giving it his all. 6'1" guard playing like a 6'7" forward and getting rebounds and trying to get blocks, really playing at his own pace and making an impact. That's just one example of being ready when your number's called. And I think that is a perfect kind of, summation of where this squad is. They are all on the same page and they're all just sacrificing for each other, understanding what they want to do. And they're really good. They know it. They're not cocky, but they're also very confident.
And I think that speaks to the culture that had already been established here with the Cavs organization, and that Kenny Atkinson has taken to the next level. Last night, you win by 40, but you bring in the end of your bench, every guy that could actually play last night got a chance to play, and still the defensive effort on that end of the floor. I always look at that kind of effort, and you tend to see these blowout games, Spencer. Those end of the bench guys come in, and one team gets hot, one doesn't. So maybe the score looks a little bit better by the end. But that team, they're just competing. And a guy like Ty Jerome, boy, oh boy, what a great player to have because of the change of pace that he has. Like he has that Kyle Anderson type, like slow walk you to the hoop, big strides and can really slow things down. But when he needs to, he's going to push. And this team likes to play up tempo. You talk about that backcourt though. What are you hearing about DG and his injury? It's great to have Ty Jerome right behind him, but where are you hearing DG? Are they just kind of being cautious with him at this point?
Yeah. And I'm just, grateful that he didn't really hurt his face again, the way that fall was, really when Karl Anthony Towns went to go contest, it just looked like he fell straight down on his jaw again. And he was like, here we go again. But yeah, no, from what I heard, his face is fine. He just landed awkwardly on the left side. And that's why he's been out the last couple of games. They wanted to get him a little bit more rest. You had a practice day in Orlando today. They did not go, back home to get a practice in and then fly to Boston. They're going straight from Orlando to Boston. And obviously the Celtics are in a fight tonight with the Pistons, but they, I think just wanted to get him a little bit more time, make sure that he's 100% because it's a big game coming up against the Celtics. A good, I hate the term measuring stick game, but it is, it's a good kind of hopefully a preview of what you see to come in the postseason. But yeah, DG, I think he's going to be just fine. And, you can kind of, take a little deep breath, exhale a little bit for that one.
I need you to give him a message from me and be like, all right, I need you to consider the Rip Hamilton wearing the mask year round.
Well, I know you saw those tweets, right, Jay? You saw those tweets from Donovan, right? Donovan talking about getting him a mask and Tristan Thompson chiming in on that. Like, it's a whole thing.
I didn't even see it, but they're on board, and I love it, dude. It's good because
it sucks. He's 6'2", and he's something. Like being that size, and you're switching a lot more now too because Kenny's not afraid of hiding him on defense. He's not afraid of hiding anyone on defense at this point. He's switching a lot, so you're seeing him, matched up on these 6'7", 6'8" guys after a switch, and I think just the way that a lot of these guys create separation, that they're using their elbows, they're using the off arm, and that's just directly where DG's head is. So it's just kind of unfortunate for him. But to his credit, like DG is searching out contact this year. He is going into bodies. He's trying to get to the free throw line, and he's welcoming the defensive challenge. And I think that's really an area of growth for him, and it's also something of a statement that he's trying to make.
Do you think he'll be ready to go by Friday?
I think so. Yeah, awesome. I think so. Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at Friday, looking ahead to Friday, you talked about it, measuring stick. A lot of people are going to look at it like a measuring stick. And the Cavs, Kenny Atkinson said last night post game that, I think someone asked him, are you going to hide anything? Like try to be coy with Boston so you don't, cause them to see something now that they're going to see in the postseason and they can go back to it and cause some issues. But he said, we're not holding back. Like, we know we have to beat Boston, and this is the only chance we have is this game right here. How do you gauge this Cavs team going into this game against Boston and the magnitude of it?
I just think you want to see the compete level. This is where, like, at this point of the season, you've already matched your win total from last year. You have a pretty strong hold on that first seed, and you're hoping to secure home court advantage. So a win is big in that perspective. But at the same time, I just want to see the compete level. I think they're going to obviously be getting up for this game. They're going to understand the magnitude of it. They want to show that they are on the level of a Boston. They are on a level of the OKCs of the world. Like, those are the three that I think a lot of people have in mind for the championship that they're looking at. But like, I'm just really intrigued to see how they bring that on the road in an environment where everyone's going to be watching. They've been killing it on national TV, guys. They went out and they stomped New York. They won a really solid game against Memphis. That was probably one of my favorite games of the year, next to the Thunder game earlier this year on ESPN. And then they went out and just demoralized the Magic yesterday on TNT. So, you're in a string of national TV games. This would be a way to get people talking. But at the same time, I know that they're not concerned of their outside perception, but they are understanding internally of, this is the level we have to get to. We have to be mature about it. We have to execute. And they're really smart and really emotionally intelligent too. So I think like they know that there's a game of runs. It's a perfect thing. You go back to what Kenny Atkinson talks about with Donovan Mitchell and how Donovan is so even keeled. He's someone that never freaks out in the huddle. He's always encouraging, but he's also someone who leads by example, and he tries to convey that message to the rest of the team. And Donovan credited like Ricky Rubio and Johnny Bryant for helping him get to that level mentally. And I think that that's really something that's kind of gone under the radar about Donovan and his leadership, is that just he is never a hothead, and he's never going to react to the lows, and he's never going to react to the highs. He's going to stay right in the middle and understand what job needs to be done and do it to the best of his ability. And I think that he has been terrific this year as a leader, obviously fostering the growth of Evan Mobley, fostering the growth of Darius Garland, and just continuing to spin the wheels on this team and its development.
I feel like the last time the Cavs played the Celtics kind of tried to come out and say like, oh, we're still the Celtics and we're still, you got to go through us. They wanted to make a statement, it felt like. And I think they messed up by doing that, because I don't know if this is true or not, but I believe that loss pushed our GM to make the trade for DeAndre Hunter. They were like, we really can't beat this team without a bigger wing, athletic wing to guard these guys right now, because they are just picking on Darius Garland. And I think they were probably really wanting to make the trade, but it was just like the final nail that, that put in the nail in the coffin. They're like, all right, we're making this trade. We got to do something. And I can't wait to see the reaction of all this now Friday.
I think that there's a little bit of truth to that. I also kind of push back on that idea, because in that game against Boston, Evan Mobley had probably one of his worst games this season. And had he just had like a halfway decent game, they could have easily won that game. I also would say too, like picking on Darius Garland, that's what teams are going to do. But earlier in the year, when they had him switching on to Jason Tatum, they did a really good job of executing their game plan, really baiting Tatum to come in and try to take his mid-range shots, to take him to the basket, kind of bring him in so that Jared Allen and Evan Mobley could contest. I thought that they did a really good job of executing that strategy in that meeting. But the last one, like you were talking about, I think if Evan just has even a halfway decent game, that they could have come up on top. And you got to also remember too, Evan was only in his second or third game back from that calf injury. So I'm interested to see Evan at full strength, knowing what happened in that last game, how he approaches this next one, because he is on fire right now, just playing both ends of the floor and really making a huge difference. Just the array of dribble moves. And I still don't know how teams aren't picking up on the scout that he is really good going to his left. Like if you watch, he is always making that crossover right to left. And I have no idea how teams haven't started to shade him right to figure out, can he go this way better the way because I think he's a left-handed player who shoots right, in my opinion. And he loves to use that left-hand hook. He loves to finish left. And he's been just really attacking guys from the right side of the wing and kind of turning the corner and taking whoever. It can be a mismatch. It can be someone who's right there in the same size.
They might be watching. You're giving tips out to these teams.
I'm putting my scouting hat on here. But seriously, though, he's been really good going to his left. It's crazy, but it's the patience that really is striking me right now. He still has to be better. When he catches it, sometimes he gets a little too anxious and he drags the pivot foot and he travels. He leads the NBA in travels. So that's something he still has to work on. Still has to work on back to basket stuff, I believe. But when he's face up and when he's driving with momentum and they get him into actions where he's moving without the ball and then he catches it, like, he is a force, man. And
that's
he's
why
been so fun to
so
watch.
Touted right now, is because he's doing so great. But like you said, he has so many more things he's going to improve on.
Yeah. And this is the tip of the iceberg. Like, this is just the start, because once he starts finding that 3-point shot, like he did, it's been such a long season, guys. I can't remember. But when that game in Charlotte where he came out and hit, I think 4 or 5. And
I think it was 5.
That was the midst of a stretch where he was shooting like 60+% from 3 in like 4 or 5 games. And that was starting to come along. And then the calf injury happened and derailed that. But he's stepping into him now. He is not just doing the catch shoot variety. He's actually, kind of creating for himself in that situation. And then once guys, again, start closing out on that, then you're in a world of trouble if you're a defense.
Well, and him playing well in the playoffs is going to be what helps drive this team as far as they're going to go. And you talk about, we say in jest like, oh, we're giving out the Cavs secrets or Mobley secrets or whoever's secrets on what they're doing and what they're not being defended for. In a playoff series, we know you're only facing one team, so you're going to see teams are going to see that on film, and they're probably going to start to have a plan for that as you get deeper in the playoffs. It's going to be on the players to make adjustments and the coaching staff to make adjustments, because that's what I think this team was lacking when they were making the baby steps in the playoffs, and now we're expecting them to make much bigger strides in that regard. Around the NBA, though, Spencer Davies, Cavs on SI with us. Before we get you out of here, around the league, I mean, Lakers, they get Luka Doncic. I mean, I'm sure that trade's been discussed ad nauseum. Everybody made a big deal out of the game last night. I know he's facing his former team. Wasn't in Dallas, so I don't think we'll really know how that reaction will happen until April 9th. I think that they're in Dallas against the Lakers. But who are those teams that you're kind of looking at around the league? We talked about OKC, Boston, the Cavs, but who else do you see really making a run here down the stretch?
I think Denver is definitely someone you can't sleep on. Like, they obviously have had championship caliber team before. Christian Braun's playing like a dart in transition right now. I love, obviously, Aaron Gordon next to Nikola Jokic. I think that Russell Westbrook, too, with Nikola Jokic has really created a solid partnership. I do like Memphis. I think that Memphis is real tough. They just have to unlock that superstar back into Ja Morant. He had a good, solid game in Cleveland on Sunday. Didn't turn the ball over. I think he had like 21, 10, and 6 or something like that. But it wasn't the takeover Ja, because Jaren Jackson Jr. has been really their primary guy. And his growth and his development has been doing wonders for him. And obviously, the rookie that I just wrote about, who could be the rookie of the year, Jalen Wells, he has been just a revelation for them and is starting in games for them. This is a second-round pick who was taken 39th overall, played D2, and ended up going to Wazoo for 1 year and then got picked up by the Grizzlies. So they have a really good thing going there too. But in terms of the championship, I would say it'd be between Cleveland, Boston, OKC, and Denver right now. I don't know if the Lakers get there this year. They got to get that center, I think, still, to, especially if they're going to match up with Denver at any point. That's really tough to stop. But, kudos to the Lakers, though. They're fine. I mean, Austin Reeves has been just torching the Nets right now. You have the pickups with Dorian Finney-Smith doing a good job. Obviously, Luka getting his lick back last night, doing what he did, screaming at the bench. And, LeBron's, openly saying, I'll play off ball if Luka's going to have it in his hands, because we're going to be at our best when he has the ball in his hands like that. In the East, Indiana kind of intrigues me. I don't know about, championship, but I think that they've been playing some really solid ball as of late. But yeah, like championship wise, I think it's 4 teams right now. But we will see. This is the fun part of the NBA season. You start to see rotations start to form a little bit. The minutes start to uptick. Unless you're New York, those are just going to stay the same the whole year.
They've been.
I feel bad for them sometimes. I remember
they've been in playoff rotation the whole season.
They've been in playoff rotation since Tom Thibodeau got the job.
Yeah.
I would say, like, as opposed to the strategy that the Cavs employ, which is, again, something that I think that Cavs fans have to really pay attention to, is that Kenny's playing guys, 32 to 33 minutes a night, and they've been fresh all season long. And I think that's also a big portion of what plays into the playoffs, is that these guys aren't going to have those nagging injuries, and they're going to be able to compete at their highest level when they do get uptick to that 36, 37 minute nights in the postseason. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. But yeah, I think that is really interesting how 2 different strategies work out like that. And Tibbs talked about that in the matchup on Friday. And obviously the Cavs just blew them away that night.
Well,
I think their starters averaged like 40 minutes in the summer league.
It was insane. And the crazy part of that was the night before they went into an overtime game against the Bulls.
Yeah.
And they had, I think it was Precious Achiuwa played 46 minutes. Miles McBride, 42. Mikal Bridges, 44. Brunson had 38. And then I think Cat had somewhere above 40. And that was on the first night of a back-to-back. Then you come into Cleveland against them, who were well rested at that point after, they beat the Nets on their first game after the All-Star break. And then obviously we saw what happened on Friday. So two schools of thought. I'm not saying one's right or wrong, but it's incredible that Tibbs plays his guys as long as he does, and expects them to be in peak form by the time things roll around.
We'll see how these philosophies definitely work out, because the Cavs are going to have to start to whittle down and at least get used to some of those playoff style rotations as we get closer to the end, just so that they're kind of in rhythm with that, how they react to it. The Knicks will already be in season form with that. So, but definitely a well-rested team, a great team, more people. We got to keep talking about this. We're held you on here because I can talk basketball all day. Jay knows this.
I can too, man. Like I was just thinking, like we didn't even talk about Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro coming back into the fold after injury. Like that's a big part of this too.
I have like 4 other questions. I'm like, man, I'm tying this dude up so long. Right
Fire away, man. Fire away. I'm here.
I literally was just thinking, because you guys were talking about New York and how they kind of like changed up their core before the season, and where the Cavs didn't. And it's showing the Cavs were the smarter of the two for not doing that. Like the just being able to play with each other all the time, and that camaraderie with each other, and they're just knowing where one person's going to be without even talking to them, and their communication, of which I do keep hearing about. I think they totally made such a better decision by doing that. Where New York, I thought they were better than last year than they are this year.
The reason that I think the Cavs should get a lot of credit is because it's so hard to stay the course, especially in today's NBA, in today's sports landscape in general. Teams get 2 to 3 years max, and that might even be pushing it. And they are just like, no, we know that these 4 work together. Everybody was like, no, the 2 bigs will not work together. No, the quote unquote small backcourt will not work together. And I don't know if you guys saw Kenny Atkinson push back on the idea of a small backcourt, by the way.
Yeah, he said Donovan Mitchell, which he has like a 7-foot wingspan. He's not small.
Correct. Yep, exactly. It's about the context of the roster that makes this so interesting, because you put the 2 bigs next to them. Now you add the wings that you have in part of that, and you're getting hella defense out of Sam Merrill. You're getting a much more energized and healthier Max Strus in the fold now, and you add DeAndre Hunter to the mix. When you surround those guys with those types of players, it absolutely can work. They might be picked on defense, but there are solutions to that. Every team has a weakness. Every team has a strength, and Kenny plays into those strengths, which I think makes them why they are the team that they are. It's different and it's unique, but you're starting to see teams around the league start to adapt that mindset. I know that we don't agree with the Luka trade to LA, but when Nico Harrison was talking about the Anthony Davis acquisition, he pointed to the Cavs model. Like think about that. That was something that was getting killed across league circles, and it works this year, and then boom, it's being used as a reason why that trade was made. So he deserves a pat on the back, Kobe.
By that? I'm still baffled by it.
Well, here's what's crazy, Jay. Is like I was in the building the day that it happened. So the news broke at midnight, and the Mavs were in town the day of. So it's crazy how the basketball world, all eyes were on Cleveland that day. Mm-hmm. And the first press conference we ever heard was Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd in the away press conference room. Nobody played for the Mavs that day. Nobody. I actually had to do work for RG.org that day reporting on the trade, so I didn't see a minute of that game. But the Cavs came out, smelled blood in the water, and absolutely buried them.
Yeah, he didn't.
But like, it was insane though. Like just to see that moment brought everyone in the eyes to Cleveland that day, and it was crazy to cover. Just I feel like I was in a moment of NBA history. And just being in that room was just like surreal, because like I was still in shock, just like you. I'm still in shock looking at Luka in the purple and gold. Let's be real. But
at his age, like everyone has tried to think of a trade comparison to that, and you can't. It is just unfathomable what they did at his age, that he literally led him to this finals, like, and was leading everybody in points, rebounds, assists. Nah, We don't need that guy. We'll bring in the
That's
tall
like
guy
trading LeBron in 08.
who gets
That's
hurt all
literally
the
what
time.
it is.
Yeah.
We'll get the guy who's hurt all the time because we're worried about him smoking hookahs and drinking beer. But the
Yeah,
guy
If he
who's
could do
hurt-
that while smoking hookah and drinking beer, sign me up.
I mean,
Sign me
Vlade
up for that guy.
Divac smoked like 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and that dude was a beast. And Luka ain't nowhere. He's way better than Vlade.
I love what Candace Parker said last night. She's like, if you give me a guy that's 397, but can, distribute and shoot the way that he can, he's going to take my organization to the finals when, against many of the odds. And we're starting to build that championship reign again. Possibly we could get to that level. And like, I'm going to take that guy. Like, it doesn't like this out of shape thing and stuff. I never really saw it. They can see it behind the scenes. I like that they pointed to the Cavs model. If the Cavs, were to win the title, you'd see a lot more teams probably trying to mimic, because look, the best form of flattery is mimic or imitation is the best form of flattery, as they say. So, and that's how sports goes. When teams win championships, look what's happening now in the NFL. The Eagles just beat the Chiefs. What are teams probably trying to do? They're trying to probably beef up their offensive and defensive line and their trenches.
Yep, no doubt. It's a cyclical world in sports. And that is very intriguing because everything always changes. Like, I think the return of the big man's here. It's just different big men that we're used to seeing. They're more versatile. They're more apt to dribble handoffs. It's the Bam Adebayos. It's the Evan Mobley's
There's
of the world.
many old school bigs I wish we could bring back. Like, could you imagine Z in today's game?
Oh,
people don't
man,
realize
he'd be
Z was an
thriving.
unbelievable shooter, and he could shoot threes. He just never was allowed.
He was incredibly skilled. If you just go back and look at the tape from the mid-90s, just the way that he ran the floor, like Big Z would have been perfect for today's NBA. Oh, my God. Yes, very good.
One last one for you, Spencer, and we'd love to have you back on because, again, I was the kid that was, 2 or 3 years old. I have a nightmare, like kids will go and see their parents, though, parents will try to calm them down, get them back to bed or whatever. I would be out in the living room with my dad watching the Western Conference game. And like, that's what I just would watch to the end and just kind of calm me down. And the rest of the night, so he's been teaching me the game of basketball since as early as I can remember. So I could do this all day, every day with you if you really want.
I'd rather have my teeth pulled right now than talk about the Browns.
Yes, that too.
Yeah, same here. Same here, guys. We are on the same page on that one.
All right.
Same page.
That's why you're like, I can keep going. I'm like, sweet. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah,
I don't have to talk about the Browns and all the pointless press conferences today.
You don't always have to pay off the teases on shows like this. But Spencer, you do mention Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade, who came back, and really with Isaac Okoro, that's a guy that you want on the floor because of his defensive prowess. Do you see him being a part of that playoff rotation if he cannot knock down that corner three that he's going to be wide open with?
It's a great question. I think it comes down to Sam Merrill versus Isaac Okoro, and Sam's been part of the team a little bit longer this season than Isaac has, and that's unfortunate because Ice was burying shots before this shoulder injury. Like, he was really knocking them down, and it really opened up the Cavs offense more because he was able to drive those closeouts, and then he'd have the little playmaking stuff that he does from the corner, whether he's cutting. He's also been used in the short roll a lot with the small pick and rolls. Kenny Atkinson likened him to Bruce Brown earlier this year. It's kind of just somebody who plays bigger than his size. And he's obviously someone that you love defensively because he defeats screens. He stays on his man. Defensively, he brings all sorts of energy. You saw how the game started last night in Orlando, the way that he was able to get steal in transition and then get a block. He got to the foul line within the first 3 minutes, immediately made his impact known. I'm just curious to see whether Kenny leans with Sam, who he's glowingly spoken of this year. I posted a video about Sam's screen navigation and how Kenny's talked about how because he's a shooter, maybe that's the reason he's been so good defensively, is because they know the tendencies of getting around and curls and all that stuff. But it's a tough decision. But again, I think that whatever decision he does make, it's going to be for the betterment of the team. And you have options. You're able to have an embarrassment of riches going into April and May. And that even goes with Javonte Green, who they just brought in. And Kenny called that an insurance policy because that's another athletic dude that can come in there and defend and really get you possessions. And possession game is what the Cavs are focused on. They want to have more shots than the other team, and they want to limit any other kind of threes and rim shots that the other team has. So you have as good of a guess as I do with Merrill and Okoro. I think he's going to lean Merrill, but Isaac's been around and is a part of this core too. So we'll see.
And there's still enough of the season left for Okoro to keep his name in the mix too. Spencer Davies, Cavs on SI, great stuff. Hopefully we can do this again, maybe before the playoffs start in that week off, because I assume they won't be in the play-in and won't have to play during the week. It'll be a weekend. It'll have like a week off before they start their playoff series. So hopefully we can do this again. Before you go, we always give our guests the opportunity to plug everything. It's always best coming from the person that's doing it. Where can people find you and the work that you're doing right now?
So Cavs on SI, Cleveland Cavaliers on SI is where we shoot our YouTube videos, pregame, postgame. We do a bunch of shows. We have our content there from the locker room and from the press room. So make sure to go over there and to subscribe, rate, comment. We also have a podcast, Courtside with Cavs on SI. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast. Do the same thing for that, please. On another note, I covered the NBA as a whole as well. And I just did a really fun interview with Jalen Wells, who the Cavs just faced the other night. And Donovan Mitchell gave him a ton of props because he was guarding him primarily. That's at rg.org. I do a bunch of the interviews over at rg.org. Have another exclusive interview with a young player coming up on over there. So please support my work there. Share whatever you want to do if you enjoy hoops. And then I also do work over at BabcockHoops.com where I do my NBA draft features. I also just did an interview with Kevin Boyle, one of the most prestigious high school coaches in the country over at Montverde Academy. He coached Cooper Flagg last year, Asa Newell, Derek Queen, Liam McNeely. These guys are all doing some really solid things in college right now. And the amount of players that he has in the NBA is ridiculous if you look it up. Cade Cunningham's one of them, Scotty Barnes. So make sure to check out that interview too. I know that's a mouthful, but that's not even the full story of the amount of stuff that I do.
No, I mean, you cover a lot of high school basketball too, don't you?
Well, I am not in the high school realm too much. I have a brother who plays in D3, so that's why I was going to Cuyahoga Heights games the last few years. But he's down in Capital Night right now. They just finished up. Unfortunately, didn't make the playoffs, but he finished up his freshman season. So excited to see his development and stuff. That's really what I enjoy the most is watching Cade grow up like that, man. He is a ball to watch, and he's going to be doing some solid things there.
Well, I'm sure you're working. Otherwise, I'll probably see you Friday at our watch party I'm having. So, well, I'll tweet at you. I'll let you know what's going on there.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Take it easy, man.
All right. Spencer Davies, thank you so much for taking the time. Again, we got to do this again. Love talking ball with you here tonight.
Most definitely, guys. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. There he is. Spencer Davies, Cavs on SI. I somehow unplugged my headphones, so I only heard part of that. The tag there. Somehow I took one little step and so now it's just us here in the studio, so I can hear what's going on. But what a conversation though, talking about the Cavs and like that's really where Cleveland's focus should be. I understand the combine is going on, and with the number 2 pick, like, we're back in it. And since we haven't had a first round pick the last 3 years, like, Cleveland's been itching for this. They've been itching for this moment, but there's a reason why we've been itching for this moment. And everybody's so enthralled into the draft again, because you're drafting high, because your team sucked last year.
Unless you're me and are completely disinterested. And it's weird because I'm usually hooked by now.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
And you wanted to do like, where is your hope level right now? Like I said, like, we're not even.
I just wanted to say 0 for me. That's why.
You know me, like I have already been like where you are right now. I've already been there many times over. So I'm not ready to do the hope level thing yet. Again, I don't know what people expected to hear from Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry at the combine. I expected them to double down on they're not trading him. And now to be as emphatic as they were, maybe that was kind of a.
I don't think they're going to trade him. I also don't think many teams in the NFL want the Browns to trade him, because now you're setting a precedent that players can start making these trade requests like the NBA players. And I don't think any of the teams want that, even if the teams want Myles Garrett. Like,
if there's any agency that would be able to translate what the NBA does to the NFL, like Myles isn't the only NFL player that wants to live in an NBA world in terms of how they can determine and dictate where they go. If there's any agency that can start that trend in the NFL, it's going to be Clutch Sports. And
now I don't even think they can do it.
I know, and that's what I'm
saying. The
NFL
union is just strong, man.
I know, and I don't think that they can do it. But if there's any agency that would be able to, like, that's where it is. Now, when Andrew Berry originally said that they're not trading Myles and he's not going anywhere, and then the trade request came from Myles. A lot of people started going back to the the Baker thing, where Andrew Berry basically was saying Baker's our guy, while knowing in the background they had this 6-month odyssey going on to vet out Deshaun Watson, which is blown up in their face. But again, the notion to try to upgrade at the quarterback position, if you could do so, I get taking that swing. But in that moment, Andrew Berry, just like other GMs, other front offices,
said one thing and did another.
And lied to you.
But the difference is they don't have a defensive end that they're trying to upgrade. Like, you can't upgrade from Myles Garrett. Like, you could have upgraded almost half the league with Baker Mayfield with the other quarterbacks.
And they never doubled down on it. They were never this emphatic to come back and say it again. Like, after Baker did his trade request, like, they weren't saying like they're going to keep him around, they're not going to honor it, anything like that. Like, that conversation that bridge just burned in that moment. So that's where these two scenarios are different. Yes, the level of player that we're talking about.
Yeah, you can't get a better defensive end than you can't get a better defensive player than Myles Garrett, let alone probably any player non-quarterback.
I mean, and you always say, don't talk about it, be about it. The Browns they talk a lot and they're not about it. Now, we say that with the understanding there are rules and regulations that these guys and GMs and athletes, women, men, whatever sport it is, there are certain media requirements you have to meet. So you're going to have to talk. And during an off season, that's all you can do. You can't, you can only do that next thing. Right now, that next thing is talking to the media and analyzing draft prospects. Then the next thing will be, what are you going to do to make sure that maybe you have some room in the cap to try to get a veteran QB? Can you get a veteran QB for that vet minimum where they've already made their money? And that would constitute Kirk Cousins, but Atlanta's saying they're not moving him.
That's like the only guy I would have taken to, but whatever.
And right now, can we take Atlanta at their word? Because they
that is more, I think they would break their word more than the other one. I think Atlanta's probably saying that. So maybe a team wants, trying to position themselves to trade for Kirk Cousins.
Well, and you look at the Titans, what did they say when they were first talking about their draft plans? They said, we're not against taking a generational talent at the top of this draft. Well, I've heard from many experts, and I know that there's a lot out there, but I'm talking people that have been doing this for a long time. And a lot of people say there is no generational talent in this draft. Like, you might want to put Travis Hunter up there or Abdul Carter. A lot of people are saying those are great players, but not the generational talent that you sell the thing for. So the Titans they got the reaction that everybody thought. Everybody's thinking they're going with Travis Hunter, and now oh my gosh, like, QBs could slide down. Can we position ourselves?
That actually annoys me when people say that, to be honest with you. Like, there's no generation. You don't know that. You're not
right.
Like, I get what you're saying. Like, there's no surefire guy, but dude, there's probably a guy in the 5th round that is going to be an all-time great right now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I get what you're saying. Like, right now, what they've done to this point doesn't constitute generational. If they take their game, and that's going to be on the players to take their game to that highest level, because if you want to stick around in the NFL, why do so many undrafted free agents last in the NFL? It's because they got nothing else to lose. They're trying to make their dream a reality, and they're giving everything. Like, they're giving literally everything that they have to keep their dream alive. And then they set that precedence for themselves. And those types of guys tend to stay with those habits. The ones that have been catered to, told that they're great, things like that. Some of those, the reason why
Deshaun Watson. Sorry.
The reason why players bust or they don't work out, whether it's in a trade or drafted player that's in the first round, why they're considered busts, part of that is on the player. Part of it's on the organization because now we're trying to like fit a square in a round hole type of thing, and we're putting players in a bad position, stuff like that, or a bad scheme that's just not going to work and accentuate what they do. But some of it is on the players because they've been told that they're great and they rest on their laurels. And you see it time and time again.
That and they got paid already.
You know who rests on it feels like they rest on their laurels and they just don't care? The Cleveland Browns. Like you look at the Cavs organization.
I don't even know if they don't care. I just think they're ineptitude. Like they just can't do it. I don't think they're good at it.
And I know
think they do care. They just suck at doing what they do.
And those grades came out about the organization. I'm not freaking out as much about those today, Jay, because like
people actually getting mad, that was kind of silly to me because if you
there's teams that like Mike McCarthy was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. They decided not to try to bring him back, give him a new contract to bring him back. He got an A+ from the players. And Kevin Stefanski's been a 2-time coach of the year. He got a C.
Most work evaluations, though, if they do that work, they almost all get bad grades.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't care, dude. You guys are complaining. How about you sucked?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I want to do? I want to do that grade how it is for us fan. Like, how is the food at the stadium? F. How is the experience? F. How is your life like doing because the Browns? F. Like, how is your hope? F. Like, everything they do is terrible. The new stadium, how do you like the transportation and getting there? Terrible. Are the seats comfortable? Not at all. Like, I'm sorry, you want a real evaluation? I can evaluate this team. What'd you think about the defense, Kevin?
Bad.
Yeah. What about that offense?
Historically bad.
What about the draft picks?
Don't know who they were.
Yeah.
like that.
Those are the grades that matter. I don't care if your locker room isn't up to par. Like, your locker room is better than anything we're gonna use. Like,
I've said it.
I don't feel bad for them. That's all I'm saying.
I've said it before. I'll say it now, and I'll say it in the future. As long as this stretch continues to happen with this team. Yes, we have a great team in the Cavs, and that's where our focus is. Guardians are just getting started. I know they're losing.
Boy, Travis Bazzana hit a home run.
Don't worry about the record in spring training, people.
No.
Gavin Williams, he went like that's what you're looking at. Guy that's trying to come back and be good. He went 2 perfect innings today. 3 strikeouts. Like, that's what you want to see these guys build up to. Tristan McKenzie, those question marks.
And more Bazzana home runs.
And you at least trust the Guardians organization. By the way, condolences to the Dolan family. Larry Dolan, the owner of the Guardians. Of course, his son Paul has been handling it the past several years, but 94 years old, did pass away, so we want to send our condolences. But I've said it before, I'll say it now, and I'll say it in the future. The game of football, the reason why that dominates the conversation, when the Cavs beat a team that they beat in the playoffs last year, beat them down by 40 points last night, is moved to like 1 minute. What are you showing me?
Do you know who that is? You're just talking about unfortunate. Harriet the Spy.
Yeah, also from Eurotrip, Michelle Trachtenberg.
I couldn't believe that.
She recently had a liver transplant, and there were photos. I guess people saw photos of her where she was not looking very good. And a very sad thing that her mom found her today.
39 years old, man.
So I mean, again, life matters, and a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, it pales in comparison to some people like us. It matters more than it does to other people, and that's totally fine.
Oh, before we go, I do want to plug my event. I've now finally have the list of all the prize you can win.
Let's do that in 1 second. I just want to make sure. I keep teasing this take, and I keep going around it. But again, seriously, condolences to the Dolan family, the Trachtenberg family. Very, very tragic in different ways. But sports is our escape, and the reason why football is supposed to be the biggest escape here, it was invented an hour down the road in Canton, Ohio. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is stationed in Canton, Ohio. The Ultimate Team is in Canton, Ohio. Football is in our blood. It's in our veins. It's ingrained in everything. High school football, there's a reason why stands are packed every single fall, whether you have an invested interest in it or not. You love to go out to the games because football matters. That atmosphere matters. There's a reason why college games around this area, the stadiums are packed, whether the teams are good or not, because football matters.
I mean, I put that poll out after all the horrible things the Browns have been doing. What do you think should be the main team for what kind of city should we be, a football team, or should we transition? No, everyone still thinks it should be a football team, even when they suck.
Yeah,
that's what it means to the city. That's why I'm mad, dude. Like, I feel like I'm like trying to distance myself from Brown and not be a fan. Like, I'm still a fan. I'm just so mad.
It's so frustrating. And if this sounds biased, this sounds cliche, it sounds like, oh, like this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. But if there's I mean this from the bottom of my heart, as genuine as I can be. If there is any place that deserves good to great, long-standing football, it is Cleveland, Ohio. That's where football should matter, where battles in the trenches should matter, where offense should be existent, at least, if not one of the best offenses, a defense that is ferocious, that's going to get at you, be the definition of a dog pound, ferocious dogs. Right now, you got little high-pitched, pipsqueak little barkers out there, if they can even bark.
Chihuahuas.
I don't want to take shots at dogs even. That's how low the Browns are. If I try to compare the Browns to actual dogs are way better and better companions and compassionate and do more for you than the Cleveland Browns have ever done, especially since 1999 for my generation.
Kevin, people need service dogs just because of the trauma the Browns have dealt them.
Let's not make jokes about the service dogs. But you're not wrong.
I'm not.
Let's close this show, though, after getting that little rant out there. We said we were going to talk Browns, and somehow we did. But a great event you have coming up over at West Bank Golf Club in the Flats. Talk about it. Cavs watch party. Unfortunately, my mom is dealing with some stuff, so I have to be with her on Friday night and take care of some stuff. But any way I can help and donate something, I will definitely do that for you.
So me and my friend Rebecca Maxwell, you know her more on Instagram. She has a company called She's Company, and she's running it through her. So we will have open donations there. You could donate to win a prize or just to donate. It's free to get in, really. I prefer you gave the $10, but prize wise, I bought I got a little booze basket together today, which is 4 bottles, which I
Please
hope
drink responsibly and get an Uber driver if you need one.
Or drink at home. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I got from the Cavs. Thank you so much. I got 2 tickets, I believe I'm getting from the Cavs. Tomorrow I'm picking up from Casey Coolest, thanks to him, and swag bag. So I'm not sure what, but if I know them, they're probably going to give us something pretty good.
I mean, just look at the new branding here.
Yeah.
It's going to be sweet stuff.
And then thanks to your work, ESPN Cleveland, they gave us a swag bag. It looks like I got 2 hats in there. One is a Browns hat. And I'm pretty sure, and he's staying, a Myles Garrett jersey thrown in there. So that's sweet. Curtis Danberg, friend of ours, and the Guardians, they donated 4 tickets, which I have a letter from him that you're pretty much going to pick whatever game you want to go to, as long as it's available. The sooner the better. So I got 4 tickets from them.
Yep.
My barber shop, Carlos Barber, gave us a $30 gift card.
Oh, wow.
And then
that's great.
I bought a $25 gift card to Dash Mitchell House right over in Parma. And yeah, I think that's it. So $10, you can win all that with 1 ticket. And I can't
that's worth
win
a lot, man.
Just like our prizes, they don't let me win this stuff, even though I want to.
And it's going to a great cause.
Yeah, we're donating directly to the LA Fire Department, who are helping the fire victims that really need it. Not that I don't feel bad for the overly rich people, but this money is going to people that really, really need it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
as they try
when
to
I see fires, dude, that just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Any tragedy is horrible, but something about a fire is that
Those scenes, just
no matter what, like you could have all the insurance pay for everything, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of them pulled out. But there's things when you lose in a fire you cannot replace in pitchers, dude. Like old pitchers, you can never replace those, dude. Like they're gone, and that those people lost those images and memories forever. And it just broke my heart. So like I say, Cleveland, we always look out for each other, and this is, I think, a great way for us to show even more people who we are about. And you think you can't do, like, one person can't make a difference, dude.
You can.
All you got to do is pull more people together, and that one person can make a huge difference with a group of people. And if we come together, the bigger the difference will be.
Absolutely. And a great cause, West Bank Golf Club, $10. And you can get a great grand prize at the event, and just come hang out with great people, watch the Cavs versus the Celtics, and again, have a great time.
If you golf, hey.
Yeah,
come out and go.
There's the simulators, and there's also the one at the end that doesn't just have the simulator portion. It has games for kids like zombie dodgeball, stuff like that you hear about, like when other AV companies are promoting their golf simulators. Like they have those types of games. I know there was a soccer game on there. There was some other stuff because we had a work event there one time, and it was a great time. So there's plenty of stuff to do for everybody, and they take
Peter,
care
you're
of you.
allowed to win the prize, by the way. I'm not, though. He gave a thumbs up. He ain't got a mic no more.
But
it makes me sad that Peter doesn't have his mic on as much.
It's okay.
I got
it's okay.
You guys, I mean, I didn't get that. He's an AI system.
He does his talking to me when it's during crunch games and has to yell at me for something.
I missed
before we go, one final reminder. Again, go to VTL_pod. We have our link to all the instructions on how to enter for the Darius Garland rookie card from Greeny Sports Cards. And they just had a major announcement earlier today. So I'm reading this, just seeing this myself as I was looking for posts. We say how Greeny Sports Cards is all about, like sports collectibles and all that kind of stuff. And they mainly focus on the sports stuff. They're live every Tuesday at 7:00 with an eBay auction and things like that. So follow them on social media, but they dabble in other things, including what is still big. That was big when I was a kid and still big now. Pokemon cards, TCG cards, and Lorcana cards, which I just figured out what those were today. And they deal with Disney characters and stuff. So there might be that might be a card thing that we don't have money. Sorry, wife. Sorry, Jan. I won't get into that. But Saturday, April 5th, Woodside Event Center, Broadview Heights, 9 to 3, $2 to get in. I mean, come on, $2 to get in. This is going to be a great show. If you're into kind of the Pokemon cards in that realm of trading cards and stuff, reach out to them.
Did you
get
watch
there.
Pokemon?
I watched Pokemon. I think I was even more into Yu-Gi-Oh for some reason, but Pokemon was always there. My cards are somewhere.
It's so funny. All the kids at my work are like, they're all I call them Pokemon nerds, and I'm not saying that disrespected by any means. Like nerds are they're the cool people now. So
Happy Meal the other day, Lincoln pulled some Pokemon cards. You know what one of the cards he pulls his first set of Pokemon cards? A shiny Charizard.
Nice. That's actually really good because the most valuable card is Charizard, and they're like, Jay, how do you know all this? I'm like, dude, Pokemon came out when my nephew was living with me when I was a teenager. Yeah. I know way too much about Pokemon without ever caring about Pokemon.
Yeah, so
I'm just glad that my dude finally became a Pokemon master. They broke the news to me.
Nice.
Ash, I was like, oh, did he ever finally become the Pokemon master? Like, yes, he did it. I'm like, my dude.
Yeah. I mean, I know all the old the original Pokemon, the new Pokemon. When I see their names, I'm like, that's got to be a cleaning supply. But Greeny Sports Cards will be at the Woodside Event Center, Broadview Heights, for a Pokemon and More show on April 5th from 9 to 3. Vendor tables, $50 for each 8-foot table. If you want to be a vendor, call, text. They give you their number right out there, 330-486-5159, or email cardshows@greenysportscards.com. And if you want more details, always go to greenysportscards.com. Can't thank them enough for their support. A longer version of the show, but again, I could still be talking basketball with Spencer Davies. Thank you so much to him for joining us here tonight.
Next week we'll have 2 prospects because our buddy Ryan is on
Yes.
assignment today, and
I tried to come up with one, didn't work. So
No,
Ryan,
let
that's
him do it,
Ryan's
dude.
department.
Dude, he knows his stuff.
He
Like,
knows.
he's highly knowledgeable about
He had
those kids.
his sheet last week was front and back
Well, yeah.
for one guy.
He does
A
this.
running back I've never heard of.
I picked up on it, and I'm like, yeah. I called him. I'm like, yeah, I need you to break down some
Yeah.
prospects. And he was like, yeah, I want to do it. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I had a feeling you were going to like this, and I'm enjoying it.
So for our producer extraordinaire, Peter Tellep, we wish all the best to the Moster family, Ryan's family. Dealing with some illnesses, a lot of people are right now with this weather in and out. It has warmed up, so that makes things even worse when this weather starts to fluctuate like this. For Always Positive, Jay, I'm Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you sports fans, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly, and especially in harder times, people pass away, we lose our loved ones. We truly love everyone. 3,000. Get out to West Bank Golf Club on Friday night for Jay's watch party. Jay?
Hey, don't talk about it. Be about it.
Peter Griffin once said, what grinds his gears is something, I don't know. I couldn't come up with something like Ryan usually does, just random off the cuff. But I do know that our great late friend, Mike Allen, always used to say, live life, all gas, no brakes. We'll see you next time right here on the Voice of Land on the Big Play Network, Be On Air Podcast Network, along with LPV Productions.